Welcome. Episode 58, week 2 of the NFL season. I can't believe week 1's done already. Man, it's been a riveting Sunday. I mean, if we were recapping our picks from last week, we had some bang on good, solid choices. So, for the 16 people that watched last week's episode, hopefully you got some value out of it. Our Thursday one seems to be the big one, but this is the sneaky sleeper one. If you're liking this, we're going to try to make it a little bit more exciting too. But we're each going going to pick one player from each position, including defense, special teams, and then our fantasy happy hour pick. And going forward, we'll total up our own picks, and the loser each week will have to do some sort of challenge. To keep it short and simple for the first one, we're going to do clown outfit next video and shotgun a beer throughout the episode at some point. That'll make it, simple. We got to think of some cool ideas to make it a little.
You have any ideas? Throw them below.
Yeah, that'd be great. But yeah, let's jump into some week 2 picks, Tarin. If you want, I can start it off. Again, DraftKings didn't have any of the stats updated. They had all the pricing updated, but not the stats quite yet. So I was going off of the NFL site. Hopefully it's accurate. Who knows how things are finalized yet. But going first with my QB pick, I'm going with Matt Stafford versus the Colts. I mean, what a dominant performance they put on against the Bears. 20 for 26, 321 yards. Just crazy. That is my pick for the QB. I just also want to touch on another potential option, though. Rookie QB Mac Jones looked pretty good. I mean, just feeling things out. But 29 for 39 and 280 yards last week. But they're playing the Jets. So, we see a little bit of improvement from the Jets, but not a really. I will give them the benefit of the doubt. Week 1. Yep. But Mac Jones, another good solid choice at QB. But yeah, Matt Stafford and the Rams just look absolutely dominant out there.
They did.
Tarin, what are you thinking for QB?
I went back to a similar pick from the Thursday night game, actually getting the early stats in with Dak Prescott. They get the LA Chargers this week. He went for 403, 31 on the ground, and then a touchdown. He looked really, really good coming off an injury. That was kind of the whole speak of the announcers. The whole game was how good Dak looked coming back off that huge injury from last year. So to look good against Tampa Bay, it was probably a top defense in the league. I mean, that's a great start. Now you get the LA Chargers, who just kind of gave up quite a bit. Man, it's stumbling me who they played. And for some reason, I didn't write it down. But the weapons in Dallas are great. And I think his upside this week is just massive. And the LA Chargers with Herbert tend to keep the game close, which is the script you want Dak in, because Dak, even in a losing game last week against Tampa Bay, 400 yards and a touchdown, that'll get you the bonuses that you want on DraftKings. So I like going there. He's 6,800 too, so he's not too high priced, but he's up there. Going over to running back, I'm actually going to that same game. You kind of touched on Mac Jones. I'm actually going to the running back, Damien Harris. He kind of came out. He's only 5,400, nice price. Kind of keeps him in that low range for running back. He had 25 touches for 117, but he didn't get in the end zone. So that's huge when you have a guy, running that many yards and getting that many touches, but he didn't quite, get across the goal line to get that TD bonus of 6 points. You got to lean there, because this week, he might see less yards, but 2-3 TDs. So I really like that. O-line in New England's kind of their highlight, right? With a rookie quarterback, they're top 3 offensive line in the league. So lean on that play, and I think they're going to lean on it to take the pressure off of the quarterback a little bit. So I don't know, where are you going running back? High, low?
I'm going with an average price. Well, average, still kind of low for the week anyways. Didn't have a big week this past week. Got some points though. I'm going with Kareem Hunt. They're playing Houston. Against my knowledge, I thought Houston was going to get blown out. They were going 0-17. I'm on the 17-0 train now, so I think Houston and Ty God are going to win. But Kareem Hunt, 6 runs last week, so not much. I think they're playing, giving lots of the runs to Nick Chubb. But 6 runs, 33 yards, but they always both get a TD. So, you're kind of that safe tandem that you get one of them, you're probably going to have some points out of it. That's where I'm going for running back. What do you think, Tarin, for the receivers?
Receiver, I went over to a guy that really underwhelmed in week 1 and a team that really underwhelmed. And I'm going to Julio Jones there in Tennessee. Tennessee looked horrible against Arizona. They were just awful on the offense. Henry was running backwards more than he was running forwards. I think you're up against Seattle this week, which means you're going to have to keep up. So I think they're going to lean on the passing game more and maybe let Henry rest and let his late season, prowess come through. So I really like Julio Jones. We know what he can do. He's that guy that can have a 250-yard game and 2 TDs, or he's a guy that gets hurt on the first play and then kind of sinks into a zero. So I really like going there. And AJ Brown, I think, is going to garner more ownership because he saw more targets. He saw the TD late. So I like going to Julio, and I really like this game. So that's kind of where I'm leaning. I think both defenses are kind of weaker than they've usually been. So I'm kind of targeting this game, and you'll see that later in one of my other picks. So what wide receiver are you heading to?
I'm going down to Chark Jr. Chark Jr. I forget. I don't know how you say it.
DJ Chark, yeah.
You know what? He only was 3 for 12 on the completions against Houston, but put up 86 yards in the TD. Still trying to find that chemistry with Trevor Lawrence, but when it did come through, oh boy, was it good. And they're only going to get better. I mean, they, tough. I think it was the coaching debut for Urban Meyer too, right?
I think so, but
yeah. And so they're all trying to figure each other out. They're playing Denver coming up this week, so could be high scoring game. Tough to tell quite yet. I still am trying to understand which defenses are good this year, which you'll see, which will shine through in all my defense special team picks. But that's where I'm going. I thought they looked good together, and they were a little bit underwhelming last week. My tight end, normally I'd pick a bit of a safer one here, but I'm going all in. I'm going over to Pharaoh Brown. He was 4 for 5 last week on the tight ends, 67 yards. They don't. I mean, they have they don't have a lot of good throwing targets. The running back game in Houston looks not actually pretty good. But other than Cooks and apparently Amendola too, we got Pharaoh Brown who's going to probably getting a decent amount of targets. What are you thinking for tight end?
I said I had a Houston pick in my lineup here, and we matched each other. I picked Pharaoh Brown too. Similar kind of logic. Cleveland, a little bit to add to it. Cleveland has always been a tight end funnel. They've been really poor against the tight end. We even look at last week, 2 TDs to Kelsey, just shy of 100 yards. It tends to be the middle of the field where they're the weakest. So he saw 4 for 67 on 5 targets, which I think, add a TD to that. He's great at this price. He's still under 3K, 2,900. So I think he's just a great pick. He's in that Houston offense. There's going to be guys getting the ball. They're probably going to be trailing in this game, if I had to guess, against like a very good Cleveland team. So I like going there as well. So I guess that pick will be null and void in the competition, but hopefully our defenses are different. But there's a good logic that we could be the same here, but I'll kind of pass right into it. And it's the team that killed Aaron Rodgers, and that's the Saints at 3,100. They surprised everyone, holding, I think they had 2 picks against Rodgers, held them to 3 points. Aaron Rodgers held the 3 points is a little bit shocking. And they just look really good. They look like everybody's kind of back. That front 4 looks really good. And then their corners are playing really well. So, they get Carolina with Sam Darnold, and, Sam can see ghosts here and there. So I think it's just a great pick to merge into. But let's get to your defense before your fantasy hour special here.
I'm going with a team that looks like they're having a lot of fun last week, and that's the Arizona Cardinals. They looked monstrous on offense, on defense. They had the defensive touchdown last week where they made the offense look silly. And so that's where I'm going. They're very cheap. They're playing your Minnesota Vikings, though, who also played great. That was quite the exciting game. I loved watching it all the way down to the OT there. And so obviously it could be a high scoring game, and I'm open to that, but I just think this Cardinals team is probably going to get, decent amount of hopefully sacks on Kirk Cousin, and maybe even that defensive TD. Maybe we'll see JJ Watt emerge this week. His brother had a big week 1 with, I think, 2 forced fumbles, or at least 1 and 1 sack at least. But yeah, that's where I'm going for my defense special teams. If you want, though, we'll jump into our fantasy happy hour specials here. I'm going to the rookie board. Hopefully we don't have the same one.
No, I don't have a rookie.
I'm going all the way to the Bengals to Jamar Chase. 5 for 7 last week. They had the LSU connection between him and
Burrow, yeah.
Joe Burrow. 5 for 7, 101 yards and a big TD. They're playing Chicago this week, and the Bengals look good. So, and the Bears do not. So, this could be a week where Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase pick apart Chicago and really shine with that tandem of their past chemistry. And he's really cheap. So all these rookies are still going to be cheap for the first few weeks, and they'll slowly maybe decline or increase depending on how they perform. But that's where I'm going with my special.
Yeah. No, I really like that pick. Burrow and him looked really good. And then, of course, it was the LSU game because Justin Jefferson on the Viking sides also was an LSU wide receiver there too. So there was a lot of LSU going on. But I went up the board more and I didn't save any money here. And I went to a guy you texted me about last week, and it was DK Metcalf. I like trading these two guys. I really love this game. As I mentioned earlier, I think Russ looks like he's cooking again. Tennessee, I think, will keep it kind of, close-ish, hopefully. But DK Metcalf was the guy who didn't see the action as much as Lockett did last week. He did catch the TD late, and he put up, I think, a reasonable scoreline. But, I find with Seattle, you just got to play alternating big games with those two. Lockett will have a big game, then Metcalf will have a big game. And usually one of them's over 100 yards. So you just play that you pick the right guy. And I like DK in this matchup. We saw what Arizona did. 2 wide receivers, both had 2 touchdowns. Both went over 100 yards, in Hopkins and Kirk last week. So, we could see maybe it's the perfect time to go Lockett and Metcalf for another, 200-yard game and 4 touchdowns between the receivers. But obviously Tennessee is going to give it up, and DK Metcalf's another kind of specimen. He's just unbelievable in the wide receiver role. So I think he could blow this game up, and I think he will take me to a big win in week 2 against Justy here. So.
Yeah, well, that's our lineups for the weeks. After on our next Sunday video, you guys will be able to find out whoever's wearing the clown costume. I fully believe that. I don't know if I picked the better team. It's I didn't pick as strategically as you. So going next week, might have to come with a little bit more strategy and heat. Hopefully the wager is a little bit worse. But thanks everyone for watching this episode 58. Again, we're super close to 100 subscribers. So if you're one of the 15 people that watch our Sunday one, you're a diehard. Thank you very much. If you haven't subscribed yet, that'd be great. That'd really help us. Or even just leave us a comment or a thumbs up. But yeah, we'll see you guys next week for the Thursday showdown.
Cheers.